J Jinx!
Truck stop!
This is JJ Jinx, and I just got back from a rather long and involved road trip. I saw many a great thing. There was one of the coolest truck stops I've ever seen. I had a flea market experience unlike any other. I mean, this place reminded me of like 1970s. This place made me nostalgic for a time I never knew, like 1970s Coney Island or Jersey Shore. I even found a knife store that serves beer on tap. I filled up the old strategy field box, and it's time to unload. What treasures await? Lots of them. Now, I generally have been trying on my road trips to get a good mixture of knives that are both cheapo, truck stop, gas station-y things, but also more higher-end stuff. And I think I accomplished that pretty well this time. But for starters, there's a knife I'm so excited to talk about, I'm just going to come right out with it. This, as many of you may recognize, is a traditional folding knife in the Congress configuration. It's got that distinct recurved spine and a whole bunch of blades sticking out of the top. This particular one is a 4-bladed Congress knife. And here are the blades it has. A couple of Wharncliffe blades, a sheep's foot, and a pen blade. There's a couple of things about this knife that make it very, very special to me. I actually don't own any Congress knives. This is my first one. I've certainly looked at them. Wasn't too sure if it would be my thing or not. I was looking at maybe picking up something from Case, maybe Rough Rider for starters, or even Frost Cutlery. But all of those options got taken from me when I spotted this at a Love's truck stop. That's right. Love's is now carrying traditional folding knives, one of which is a Congress configuration. How about that? Let's look around. Well, the scales are plastic with these kind of coffee and light brown swirly thing. This is usually what you see when knives have that artificial tortoise shell look to it, although maybe less swirly and more spotty. But you know what? I'll take it. Doesn't matter what they're going for. It's a Congress knife from Love's. And not that bad in terms of fit and finish. I would rank it right around Rough Rider territory. The bolsters are surprisingly well polished and shiny. There's a couple of dings and scratches already because I actually did carry this thing in my pocket for a while. Now the branding on this knife is Precision Blades, which is a brand I'm familiar with. It's got that kind of Blade Runner font to it. I've seen a lot of knives from this brand in Love's truck stops. And just to make this one extra special, have a look at the shield, which also says Precision Blades. But here's the thing is, the stamp wasn't so precise into that shield, which just makes it more fun. They also had a bunch of other ones, but I just got this one because they were $15 a piece, and I wanted to leave a little something for my next road trip. You know, I stop at these Love's places all the time, and when one of them gets stocked with something new, they all do. And in fact, I did see these knives at 3 different Love's locations, But like I said, I wanted to leave the rest for myself to hunt for later. For now, I was very content with my first Congress knife coming from an American truck stop. And on this trip, I actually wanted to visit other truck stops besides just Love's over and over again, even though I did end up going to a few in the end. I wanted to focus more on TA. I feel like that's a truck stop branch that I have been neglecting as of late, and so I found a knife that I liked in one of those. Now, I didn't originally want this particular one. They were out of stock of the one that I wanted, which was some kind of an obnoxious titanium anodized looking thing with like a chain on it. But this was the next best one. It's got a spider skull creature, a bunch of other skulls and blends of purple and blue and green, a little vapor wavy but gothic and dark. And check out the blade. It is an assisted open knife that opens pretty well, actually. I love that blue-purple fade in the artwork there, and the blade shape is very aggressive with the recurve Tanto combo. I'm a fan. On the other side, you still have the same decor, but no coloration. It's just on the one side you get the colors. Maybe because this is the side with the pocket clip. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen the color on both sides. So there it is. My TA truck stop knife find. I really like this one. When I was at that really cool truck stop I mentioned, which I'm going to do a separate video on that experience, I did pick up a knife from that place by Armed Force Tactical. just the one force. I paid way too much for it. $63 for an auto camo OTF. And here it is. Emblazoned onto the pocket clip, it says Armed Force Tactical USA at the very top there. And it is a Combat Troodon copy. Not counterfeit, but a copy in Digicamo. Kind of a combination of woodland and desert. And the blade is one of those crappy black satin combos, although it's not a bad look in this particular case. The steel is 440 stainless. You could probably get this from Wish.com for maybe, I don't know, $10 or something. So yeah, I know, I overpaid, but it was for the experience. When you wait till you see that truck stop video I make, it's going to be fantastic. Now, I do have some other Combat Troodon copies that I got from other companies, but none in this size. This is a great size for me. If I were to go with a full-sized Troodon, it's just a bit too much. It's a bit too big, but I like this. And it's nice and heavy to the point that you can hardly feel the blade deploying. It's just solid. Pretty well-made copy, I must say. One of these days, maybe after I get a windfall, I might get an actual Microtech knife for comparison. I sure hope that they're not violating copyright laws by copying this design. But anyway, yes. Armed Force Tactical USA. Doesn't say made in China anywhere. Oh yeah, there it is. And then on to that place that sells beer on tap. They also sold like vape things. Oh, I don't even remember what else. I'm going to make a full video on that too. I took a tour of the place, and they actually had some pretty good name brand knives there. I picked up a few. Whenever I go on these trips, I usually have in my mind a brand that I want to get a knife from. One year, when I went to Blade HQ, for example, in Virginia, I wanted to get something from Kaiser Cutlery. One of the times I went to Smoky Mountain Knife Works, I wanted to get something from Colt Steel. This trip, I wanted to buy something from SOG. And they had a few, but this one really caught my eye. Or actually, it caught the eye of a buddy I was with. It is the SOG Kilowatt. And what caught his eye was that on the blade they have an electrical outlet. An American 120 volt electrical outlet. I forgot the NEMA code for it. But when you get the knife out and give it a closer inspection, what I like about this knife is that everything about it is about electricity, electrician stuff. And so let me go through it, because from first glance, it's like, oh, it's got it on the blade. Sure. There's a lot of little details here. First of all, on the plastic scale, you can see a circuit diagram from left to right. I very briefly took classes about circuits in a physics class, and I just don't remember anything about it. I know the symbol for like a resistor. I think that's the little squiggly line things. That's about all I remember. So if this is like a real circuit, oh, and I think that double line here is like ground, yeah. Or if it's just like, I don't know, someone slapped it together, and anybody who knows circuits looking at this might be cringing, like, what? I don't know. But it's there, and I like that. On the other side, on the other scale, we have a lightning bolt pointing downwards out of the pocket clip, which, from the packaging, I learned a high voltage tower clip. So they actually designed the pocket clip to look like a high voltage tower. Now on the spine of the blade, that's one of the more noticeable things. They have wire strippers, and they actually print or mold into the scale the different gauges. And the way this thing works is there's a hinge, so you just lift it up. Oh, wait, I forgot. You can't do it with the blade open. That's a safety feature. They don't want you stripping wires with a knife blade sticking out. That's a hazard. And they thought enough about that they actually incorporated that into the design. You can't use that tool unless you close the knife first. Now, you can open it on its hinge, like so. Place your wire, snap it shut, and strip. I don't have any wire on me to demonstrate if this works or not, but I mean, I've used wire strippers tons of times, and I'm going to bring this to work and try it out. You also have these cable stripper holes built in, and I'm not 100% sure about how that works. Yeah, it says in-handle hole strippers, but I'm guessing the way it works is if you look through the holes, you can see that the blade very, very precisely partially penetrates the holes. Say that 3 times fast. So I imagine what you're supposed to do is open the blade a little bit, poke your cable through, close the blade, and then you can kind of rotate it around to get the insulation off and strip it out. I think that might be something I have to attempt at work as well. And on the bottom of the blade, there was something I didn't quite understand at first, and I still kind of don't. There's a hinged piece on a spring. Look very carefully if I get the light correct. And that kind of ridge. Oh gosh, my lighting is... there we go. There's a ridge in that flat space right here. That's actually a knife edge, or a blade edge, I should say. And the idea is that you can kind of sandwich down a cable or something and strip it that way. They describe it as a spring-loaded UTP/wire stripper. I'm not an electrician. I'm not sure what UTP is. But there it is. That is the SOG Kilowatt. And if I were an electrician, or if I were really, really into electrical stuff, I would absolutely love this knife. And I still do, because of how every element of the knife kind of fits that theme. And it's really comfy too. You got the grooved kind of handles. The blade is liner locked. And the one flaw that I can feel is it's the electrical tower pocket clip. The edges down here are a bit pointy. See that? And like that just kind of pokes into your hand when you hold it. It's not terrible, but it's a hot spot. It's there. And you have one very, very large thumb stud that probably reversible. It's just a screw holding it in. You can't reverse the pocket clip though. This was a really neat find. I'm glad my friend spotted it, and it's by SOG. It's perfect. Another knife I picked up at the same store was this cheapo little orange thing that says Paraforce. I really was drawn to this knife just because of the logo, the use of the negative space for the para, and then the italicized force with that John Deere green background against the orange plastic. It's just a neat look. They have these in other scale colors as well. It was only $15, and you could feel it. It's this. I would describe the quality as I would say it's a good frost cutlery knife. Like you get one that just comes off the line without those little bits of plastics from the mold leaking through, and there's a hint of play, but not too much. It's just a super basic lockback knife, cheapo thing. The third knife I picked up at the place, which, by the way, they had a lot of good stuff. They had like Cobra Tech, they had Civivi, they had, I'm pretty sure they had Kaiser. There was a pretty good representation. K-Bar. Brands that like you don't typically see in shops like this. And this was one of them. I've heard of this brand before. Best Tech Man. Everyday gear, everyday life, camping, hunting, outdoor. Really neat packaging. It kind of reminds me like this is the foil card of knife packages. I was really drawn to this one. It was $60. And it's called the Good Boy Junior. They had them in a bunch of different colors. The purple was the handsomest one. And it is a button-locked knife. A lot of neat things about this knife that I really like. This is my first button lock knife, believe it or not. I just never got around to getting one. And it's very, very smooth on the pivot, which is a bit challenging with the button lock mechanism because it's kind of hard to get it to close just right. You got to kind of hit the button, swing it, and then release the button before the blade gets all the way down and locks in. It's actually a little bit easier if you to press the button and then let it do that. It's just something I got to get used to. A few things about this knife that are a little bit unique are, first of all, the spine of the knife, the back of it, is rounded. And I have a few knives that have that rounded back, but you don't always see it. It's usually flat, like this. Or this, or pretty much all these knives. Look at the jimping. That is high precision machining right there. Little itty bitty jimps, if that's the singular form. And I guess it works pretty well. You know, it can be slippery when you don't want it to dig into your hand, and with bearing down on it a little bit, it stops your thumb immediately. That's pretty cool. And if you look way out by the tip, you might notice that grind line way up there. They actually narrowed the tip with that secondary grind up there. That's not something that I've really seen too many times before. Matter of fact, I can't think of any knives off the top of my head where they do that. Not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just don't know. I haven't really used the knife yet. But other than that, it is a full flat grind. And two of my favorite things, recessed liners and fully recessed pocket clip. And I love that anodized purple thumb stud. I would have loved it if the rest of the hardware were anodized, or maybe, you know what, just the pocket clip. Having a little bit of satiny stuff in there ain't bad. The pocket clip is reversible, and you get a lanyard hole. Scales are G10 with some grooves cut out and knurling. This is my first knife from Best Tech. It's my first button lock. I love the color. I love everything about it. I just have to get used to getting it properly closed one-handed. That's going to be interesting. Well, that's because the pivot is so good. It's probably bearings. Yep, I can see down in there. It's bearings. And then we get to the flea markets that I went to. I went to a few, and one of the markets I went to, that really cool one I mentioned, was in South Florida, and I picked up a knife that actually says Florida. seemed fitting just to commemorate the trip, And looking at the packaging, they show you a bunch of the other ones they make. The American flag, the Trader flag, California, Texas, Florida, and marijuana leaf. Well, that's certainly a spread. Kind of interesting seeing California and Texas side by side, and then the American flag and the Trader flag side by side. It is a heavy knife, all metal scales, deep ride pocket clip that has like no tension on it whatsoever. And the lockup is actually pretty good for a cheap knife. I never actually looked at the lockup of these other ones. That one's fine. That's a back lock. Whatever. I am not going to be using these. This is just to commemorate my trip. Made in China. It reminds me a little bit, just from the size and shape, of something by Kershaw. Not really a cryo, but something of that like size and shape-ish. It's just a cheapo knife that says Florida. Not even like the flag of Florida, just a yellow banner. At least with California and Texas, they have elements of their state flags. And then I ran into something. I was just walking along. There was a glass display case, and boom, what do I see? A Premier Edge. Well, actually the box was open, and that's what made me stop. But let's take a moment to appreciate this artwork. It's kind of lens flared, vaporwave, abstract, colorful photo with kind of a neat font. Very, I don't know, primitive looking. And look who it is. I was so jazzed about this. I found the classic Nick Shabazz Z Hunter in the wild. Such a rare thing nowadays. They stopped making these a long time ago. And it is assisted opening, but only just. I don't think any amount of breaking in will fix that. The lockup is not very good. But that's fine. That's the way these knives are designed. And on the black-coated blade, it says Tac Extreme. I'm pretty sure that the Z Hunter was not made by whoever Tac Extreme is back in the day. I actually have one. You know what? Let me go find it. Comparison time. Here it is. My OG Z Hunter, which actually says Z Hunter on the blade. And on the other side, ZB138. Custom design. Stainless steel china. So this is a Z Hunter copy. Who knew such a thing existed? Maybe I should make one of those copy compared to the real McCoy videos. That's a fun idea. I should probably carry these and come up with some points for comparison. But right away, you can see the difference in the lockup. The knockoff is on the left. The true Z Hunter is on the right with a much better position of that liner lock. So you get what you pay for. And I was just jazzed. I mean, just for the scales alone. It's just that goofy green skulled monster. Yes. I'm so happy I spotted one of these in the wild and that someone made a Tac Extreme version of a Z Hunter knife. Yeah, it's just weird. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in the boardroom or something when they make these decisions. And I got one more knife from that flea market. Now, as many of you may or may not know, marijuana has been legal in the state of New Jersey for quite a number of years, and I made myself a tactical marijuana sack for carrying the various edibles and stuff that I use once in a while. And if you're going to have a tactical bag, here, I'll just show it to you. But if you're going to have a tactical bag, you got to have a knife. And so I went in search of a knife with marijuana stuff on it. And for $25, I spotted this OTF. This is another Microtech Combat Troodon copy. $25. Here's the thing, it's all plastic. This is not metal. This is light as hell. And so I spotted it and I was like, that's perfect. It's got the marijuana leaves in like green and yellow and red. That will go perfect with my tactical marijuana sack. And then I got back to the hotel and I realized there's a part missing. Yes, the little thing I can just show you on this other Combat Troodon knockoff. The actuator slide is just gone. The one on display had one, and so, well, it's perfect. Yes, no need to change anything. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, there were some other knives that I picked up, but I'm running out of room on my background, and they were all Ozark Trail knives from Walmart. They can be done in another video on another day. These were the gas station and flea market finds that made my road trip totally excellent. Thanks for watching. This has been JJ Jinx Truck Stop Knives.